Hi there, good morning to you. We are starting our morning out in McAllen, Texas. We are on one of the main streets out here. We are just outside of the Catholic Charities NGO, which is an organization, a non-governmental organization that has been assisting migrants coming into McAllen, Texas, which we know has seen a steady stream of migrants coming in since March. That's information we've been seeing, and also information from officials as well that we've been talking to. So we're going to speak with the executive director. Her name is Norma. We're going to talk with her. We know also, though, that they have had some COVID positive tests. So we're kind of just taking a little extra precaution here, making sure that, we're safe as well. So we're going to go speak with her and hopefully get some information as far as, what they're doing, how many migrants are able to help, how they're funded, what they need, if they have resources. I know that they were inundated. The sheriff was telling us that they can generally take care for about 2,000 people, and they were seeing numbers up to 3,000. And so they had to kind of create makeshift areas that people could be cared for. And what happens is they assist them to kind of go on their next steps of their journey. So after Border Patrol processes them, a lot of them will go to a place, a respite, depending on where they are. So this one is, again, right here. We just arrived here at the Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley. And again, so the Rio Grande Valley is one of the busiest sectors along the southwest border here, where we are seeing people coming in, seeking asylum, trying to be processed, trying to continue their journey. Let's get out of the sun. I don't know why I'm standing in the sun. To continue their journey into the U.S. So we're waiting outside for Sister Norma right now. We are set to meet her about right now. So when she comes out, hopefully she's okay with us recording. But that's the name of the game, right? We are fully transparent here. Hopefully we can get some answers. We know here also they had those COVID positive tests, and La Jolla police were telling us that it was at this location that they were actually sent out, and they were staying at hotels at the Texas Inn. And one moment here. Okay, so again, those people were taken to, we were out in La Jolla and they were staying at the Texas Inn, and then some of those, they didn't have security or anything. Some of them were tested positive for COVID, and then some of those people actually went out to restaurants, and the officials were alerted because they were coughing and sneezing, and that story has kind of made the round. So we're going to ask her about that as well, because La Jolla police was telling us that they were coming from Catholic Charities, and Catholic Charities didn't really alert anybody in the public that was going on. So again, we're waiting outside of the Catholic Charities. I'm going to kind of pause this and just message her, let her know we're here. Give me a second here. Okay, so just messaged her. So Sister Norma Pimentel should be meeting us here soon. Again, we're outside of the Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley, and they are right now working. They work with thousands of migrants. What they do is they really try to help them. They give them food. They will give them their kind of direction on what their next what their next step is. Because once the Border Patrol processes these migrants, once they get in the system, as far as fingerprints and their identification is in the system, basically what we learned from Border Patrol last night is once they're processed, Border Patrol's done. They end up at places like Catholic Charities, and that then becomes kind of the responsibility of the county and the responsibility of places that are helping. And so we're going to talk with them about what they're doing and what they're seeing, and if they're inundated at all, or if they feel like they have support, and if they feel like they're able to do what they set out to do, what their mission is as well. And you can see on their sign, restoring human dignity. So we know as well that Catholic Charities is a NGO, which is non-government organization. But we are going to try to find out where they get funding. Is it, through their county? Is it through, fundraising? What are they being supported by? So we're going to talk with her a little bit. Hopefully, we'll see. But she's going to meet us outside because, again, they have had COVID positive cases. So we're keeping our safety as a priority too. Good morning. But we're kind of in the sidewalk area where people are walking by. So I feel like maybe that's not keeping myself as safe as I could be. So that's what we're doing this morning. Another plan that we have is to go through Donna, Texas, and see what that facility is looking like there. That was one that's been in the news several times. That's the one that we saw the photos of back in March, where people were, where migrants were in there. You saw those what looked almost like aluminum, like the foil. And so that was back in March, and that was in Donna, Texas. So we're going to go there after this before we head out. We're actually leaving today. It has been a whirlwind of a trip. It has been the most eye-opening 4 days probably of my life. It has been, we are learning something new around every corner. We are learning new information every day, and every time I think that my mind can't be blown, it is. It's just so much to take in. And one of the sheriffs up in Valverde County, when we were talking with Sheriff Joe Frank, he was telling us that it's such a multi-layered approach and such a multi-faceted issue. But yeah, everybody's doing what they can with what they have, is what they said. You've got the charities doing what they can with what they have. We're going to find out what they have. And then you've got the police departments and the sheriff's departments who are all saying that they're shorthanded and they can't accommodate this if it keeps going the way it is. And when I say this, it's the amount of migrants that are coming in from the U.S. southwestern border. We know those numbers are record-breaking month after month. Good morning. Hola. So we did see some of their signs there. It says, "Please help me, I don't speak English." And so we know that the envelopes come from Border Patrol, and the envelopes, I've seen what's inside of those, and it will have where they're going. It will have the name of the family member they are meeting with. They will have all of that information. So we are seeing people being dropped off here, coming around here, and coming into the Catholic Charities here right now. And a lot of these people, this is hopeful for them because they have now gotten through Border Patrol, they've been processed, and now they're here and they're going to get help. You can see they're checking their papers, and these are those official documents that they're going to get from Border Patrol, or from whatever processing area they were from. But you can see that it has some direction for them. There's this woman here checking to make sure that they have gone through their initial processing. So right now they're going into the Catholic Charities Respite, a humanitarian respite center here in the Rio Grande Valley, which is one of the busiest sectors here. It is the busiest sector, rather, for immigration apprehensions here along the southwestern border in Texas. We know that 440,000 apprehensions have happened in the Rio Grande Valley sector alone. And that is pretty high, because 440,000 apprehensions was what was pretty average for an entire year for the entire state, basically, for everything. Migration numbers 4 years ago, even 2 years ago, 400,000, and I think 440 was the average. And so now that's for this sector alone, year to date. And the year's not over. It's August.
Allie?
Yes.
I think that they get their manila envelopes here. I think
they might.
Paperwork,
mm-hmm.
And they put the paperwork, they process it in here, kind of.
And it depends, because when we were at the mission up in Del Rio, they already had those envelopes before they went to the respite center. They had numbers on them. But maybe not. I've got to ask her that. I'm going to ask. They might be getting those envelopes from Catholic Charities or from the respite. So. Yeah. We'll see, but I know that they are given paperwork, they are given their documentation through the Border Patrol. Let me see if she has responded to us yet, because streaming, that's like I said, the name of the game. Transparency, my friends. Transparency. So hopefully hopefully we get some information here from her. But yeah, you can see here we got taxis lined up. Looks like this is kind of the exit and one of the back ways here. But this is the downtown area of McAllen. And again, we know that they have an increase in COVID cases here. We know that 7,000 COVID positive cases, according to the Army Corps of Engineers, were sent out from this area. So, yeah, there's a lot of information that we need to get confirmed, and a lot of information that I'm hoping that Sister Norma can kind of talk to us about here this morning. So if anybody has any questions, please ask. We are obviously interactive and doing this as it's happening. So yesterday, if you guys were watching along, if you haven't seen any of our videos, we went on a ride along with the La Jolla Police Department through the field areas around the border wall that's constructed right on the other side of the Rio Grande, where we're seeing a lot of migrants come across. And so yeah, we'll sit out here for 20 minutes. If she never comes out, she never comes out, I guess. But so we were with them in La Jolla, which is, they were saying it's a really hard hit area for migrants coming across, because there's a really, really thick area of the Rio, and it's very deep and swift. Very different than what we saw up in Valverde County in Sheriff Joe Frank's area of Del Rio, where people could kind of walk across. These areas are a lot more dangerous where they're coming across. So the coyotes will put people in rafts, and those people will get across on a raft. And they're actually going to be sending me some videos, because I didn't see that happening yesterday, but they are going to be sending me some videos. I saw it with my own eyes, 2 rafts full of people, the coyotes rowing them by hand across the Rio Grande, and then getting across here. Okay, I just heard the door open. Hopefully. My biggest shock that I've had this week, I would say, what would my biggest shock be this week? What? The resources is a big one for sure, but I think what's really blown my mind is the fact that the COVID testing and the vaccine aren't being implemented and consistent, and it's not, something that our government is keeping a tight hold on. I think that has been blowing my mind. Okay, here's Sister Norma right here. I'm going to chat with her a little bit here this morning. Oh, okay, well, we'll see. Maybe she's going over there to talk on the phone, but if she keeps walking, I'm going to follow her, because that's Sister Norma. I've seen her picture and I know who she is. And so if she keeps going, I'm going to follow her, because I know that's her. And she said she'd meet with me. Maybe she doesn't know who I am, but I'm sure she's seen she's getting in the car. No, you're not, Sister Norma. No, ma'am. You're supposed to meet with us. Sister Norma? Norma? Hi, we're meeting? Okay, she's saying give her a minute, but that's not going to happen. I have a meeting set up with her, and I've been talking with her for days. So if she doesn't want to speak because I've got a camera or something, I don't know, but I know she knows it's me, Mom. She just said a second. So yeah, I don't know what's going on here, but we're gonna stay out here and wait. So I would say that's a big shock to me. The other thing that's been mind-blowing that I haven't been able to wrap my head around is whenever the migrants come in, if something happens to them, if they're sick, if God forbid they die, that gets absorbed by the county. That becomes a cost on the county. It becomes a hit on the county. And we were talking with other officials that were saying those things are so, they can be really long lasting impacts on their counties, because that can affect their allocations for money down the road. And so that is really hard for me to understand, that sheriffs are telling me the border is open, the border is porous, And so people are coming in, no one's stopping them, but then they end up in these counties, and if something goes wrong, the counties have to pay for that. And that's really interesting to me. And these are small towns and small counties and small departments. And so that's really shocking to me. I had no idea that becomes an expense on them. And that if, like up in Brooks County, up in Sheriff Benny Martinez's area, they have had 74 bodies that they have found out in rural areas. And so what's interesting is he was telling us it's $2,200 per autopsy. That's what Sheriff Joe Frank said up in Valverde County, is $2,200 per autopsy. So if Sheriff Benny Martinez was dealing with that for 74 bodies, that's a hit on their county. So that was interesting to me. I had no idea. So again, we are waiting here. She just got off the phone. So let's see if she is going to come talk to me or not. It's very interesting that we'll see. So when I was talking with La Jolla Police yesterday, they were just saying they really want better communication with the respites. They really want to know who's coming out into the communities, because apparently it's not being released. That information isn't really being put out there. And so the officials that I talked to, they would like to see more communication, and so I was talking yesterday, the La Jolla Police Department was telling me that Catholic Charities gets their funding from the government, but they're a non-government organization, but they also aren't, I don't know what their requirements are for reporting positive COVID cases and things like that. So hopefully we can find out some of that information. Here comes Sister Norma. We'll see if we can speak with her again. Hi there, good morning. How are you? I'm Allie Bradley. We have a meeting this morning.
That's right.
Yes. So I am recording because we are doing full transparency here for my independent journalism. So I have several questions for you. Obviously, we have a little bit of your time here. So with Catholic Charities, obviously you guys have been assisting migrants for quite a while. Do you feel like you have the resources right now to do what you're doing and to continue to do what you're doing with helping all these folks?
I think so, yes.
You think so, yes? I know that you guys, from the sheriff's departments, they were telling me that you guys can typically care for about 2,000 migrants. And what are you guys seeing right now?
As far as numbers?
Yes.
The numbers have dropped significantly to way, 500, 600 maybe at the most.
Okay, so they've dropped by 500 or 600 at the most here, but does that mean they're placed in the other areas, like the Texas Inn and the areas that you guys have used as overflows?
No, what we're doing right now is just mostly putting them in Ansel Duas Park and here.
Okay, so they're at Ansel Duas Park and here. Are there still people over at the Texas Inn near La Jolla?
Only those that were initially placed, and we're just waiting for them. I don't know exactly where we don't have them in all the hotels anymore.
Okay.
So we're reducing the numbers as they are coming out of isolation.
Okay.
And once they do, we're not placing anymore. So
Okay.
I don't know exactly which ones we have still, but they're there.
And so are those the COVID positive cases that were at the hotel then?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, do you have any COVID positive cases in the respite center?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so do you guys do the testing here?
We do not.
Who does the testing?
There is a group that is contracted to do that.
A group is contracted to do that. So they go from Border Patrol processing, the group will then test them, and then they come to you and you guys know if they're positive or not, and then you put them in the facilities that they need to go to. Is that what happens?
That's correct.
Okay.
Something like that, if I follow you correctly, yes.
Okay. So another contracted company will do the COVID testing, and then you guys, so what do you do when someone comes up and says these people are COVID positive? Isn't that put your other people at risk and things like that?
No, ma'am, because they don't go inside if they're COVID positive.
They don't go inside if they're COVID positive. Okay. And so if they're doing that part of the testing, you said you feel supported, like you have the resources. I know a lot of other areas and police departments don't feel that way. So are you guys monetarily, are you fundraising? Where do you get your funding? I know you're an NGO.
Yeah, well, we get donations from everybody that supports the efforts that we're doing.
Do you get support from the government, from the Biden administration?
At this point, no, but I'm
No?
sure there's funding available that we were made aware. and maybe at some point we would be getting some funding, but not
Okay.
yet.
So you haven't gotten any funding from the Biden administration, but there might be funding available
It's possible, yes.
down the road, and you don't know what that funding would look like or how much that would look like?
At this point, we don't.
Okay. So if the government is going to step in and assist, but you're a non-government organization, how would that work?
I'm not sure your question.
Well, when you're a government entity being supported by the government, you're a government entity, but you're not a government organization. So if that's money is coming from the government, how can you be classified as a non-government organization?
Okay, so I think that if this happens, it's funding that is made available to anybody in the United States that is providing any humanitarian assistance. And it's not just us, it's there's some funds designated for that purpose.
Okay.
So I think that question you would need to ask to the people who are making these funds available.
Okay.
I would just refer to Congressman Cuellar maybe,
Okay.
or anybody that has reasons to have allotted these funds for this purpose.
Okay. Okay. So if when you guys have funding, what is that going to? Is it going to food? Is it going to care? What is that funding? How is that being spent?
That will go for whatever the needs are.
Okay. And what are you seeing as the need right now? Is it mostly food and water, or is it housing, or what is it?
Whatever it is, whether it's food, water, assistance for the family, whatever it is.
Okay. Now I know I've seen a lot of people coming across after Border Patrol processes them, and I don't know if it's ICE or what, but some of them have these ankle monitors on, which is kind of a newer thing. Do you know anything about that? That's those tracking devices?
Well, it's not new.
Okay.
I think if you are aware of what has happened previously in the previous administration, ankle monitors were placed in every adult.
Okay, so that was back in the previous administration. They're bringing it back.
This one has also maintained that practice if necessary. Okay.
Okay.
So
And
not everybody that is released has the ankle bracelet, but some may have it.
do you know who would qualify or who would need one?
You need to ask the whoever puts it on.
Okay, I will do that. I will do that. Now we see them with those envelopes. Are those coming from Border Patrol? Are those coming from respite centers? I know that there's documentations in there with where they're going and things like that. So are you guys assisting them with that so that they can make sure they get to where they need to go safely, or what does that look like?
Yes. So what happens is that when Border Patrol releases them, they are released with a document that states that they have permission to be in the United States to travel to their point of destination to continue their immigration proceedings. And they need to report to immigration at that point. And so what we do is we give them a yellow envelope to put them inside, and in that we when their family buys them their bus ticket or however they're going to travel, we put that information on outside of the board of the yellow envelope, so they know the number of their bus and the transfers they're going to be making. It's kind of explain to them so that they know how to make those connections.
Okay, and then I mean some of them also say I don't speak English, and it's so that they can safely get to where they need to go to. Like your guys' sign says, it's restoring human dignity. You want these people to safely get to their families. You're trying to assist and help.
Totally correct.
Yes, absolutely. So as far as I know a couple of weeks back we had the situation where there were some migrants that were out that were COVID positive in McAllen. What is the responsibility of Catholic Charities to tell the community or to tell local officials or anything that you guys have seen COVID positive cases, or what's that responsibility?
Well, actually nobody was in McAllen, Texas with COVID positives, because what we do is precisely try to contain and confirm and assure that the community is not exposed to COVID positive.
So where were they?
When we receive them, we make sure that they get tested so that we can then put the ones that are negative, help them so they can continue their journey. Those that are positive, we put them in isolation. So those are some of the hotels that we identify where hotel owners asked us that they can set aside some rooms, because not every hotel would want any. So we asked, we have some families that are COVID positive, would you offer some rooms for them? And then if they say yes, then that's where we put the family so they can be in quarantine until they test negative. So the idea is to keep them from being outside in the community. what we do is we have our staff making sure that we provide all the assistance that they need so they don't need to leave the room. Whether it's food, water, anything the baby needs. And that has always happened.
Okay.
The incident that you're referring to is in La Jolla, which was a new hotel that we had initially just on that same day that happened. The family stepped out. One of the families that we put in that hotel didn't realize, I guess, that we were going to be taking them food, and so he stepped out, saw the Whataburger, and he went and took his family to buy a hamburger. So what I understand from a local resident that was in Whataburger actually in line to buy, she said, "Sister, I saw the family. It was just two of them and the child and the father. I saw them. They had masks on, and they went into the Whataburger. They bought the Whataburgers, the hamburgers. They came out and they ate them in the sidewalk. And then I saw them go straight into their room in the hotel. So it was not like people all over walking around with COVID exposing anyone else. And so it was misinformation as to what actually happened. I think the city officials alerted the community about the fact that all these people were going around with COVID, which was not a fact, you know.
But is this true though? At that hotel, there wasn't security at a certain point, so it was kind of on an honor system for these folks to just stay in their room, right? I mean,
no.
There was not really anything to keep them in their rooms outside of the paperwork saying if you don't stay, you could impact your asylum and your proceedings, right?
No, that's incorrect.
Okay, can you clarify for me?
What the families are asked to remain there. They have every right to go anywhere they want because they're legally allowed.
Even if they're COVID positive.
Well, if you were COVID positive, how would I know that you're COVID positive?
But you're saying some of these people you guys knew were COVID positive.
So when we asked them to remain in isolation was precisely because they understood that it was safer for them and for the community to be in isolation.
Right. But I guess my question is, how can anyone force them to do that? There's no security and there's no police, you know, no one can make them stay. So it's kind of an honor system. It's their word that they're going to stay in that room if there's no security and no police, right?
Definitely. But we do have staff. We may not have a security guard, but we do have staff that are there attending and helping the families with anything they need so that they would not feel themselves safe and with no need to go out. Okay.
But you guys don't have a right to keep them. Like, you can't say, no, you can't leave.
That's correct.
Other than you advising, if you do leave, you could impact your proceedings moving forward.
No, they could not impact their proceedings.
It won't.
Because
Okay.
Border Patrol actually released them and they could travel as they are. We are asking them, please, it would be safer for you and for everybody if you stay in quarantine until you are tested negative. And we will continue to follow up and provide you with anything you need so that you can remain there until you test negative.
Right, and I know that family that went to Whataburger, the officials went in there and they said they had everything they needed, but the kid just wanted a hamburger and the mom and dad wanted to give the kid a hamburger, right? Wasn't that kind of the situation that the family was not necessarily didn't understand, but they were, that's my mother. Not that they didn't understand, but that they were like, didn't know the magnitude or that it was actually a problem.
Yeah, I know.
Is that kind of? So you guys have your hands full. You're obviously dealing with a lot. You feel like you are supported, Sister Norma. What do you need? Do you need anything? Do you need help? What do you need right now?
I need people to understand that these are people that are not exposing anyone to any virus because we're making sure that we are helping the community to be safe.
But how can you do that if you can't make them stay?
But I am helping them remain inside.
Okay.
That's my efforts.
Okay.
Doing instead, I need to answer to this.
Okay, I understand.
This person that just passed by there needs some help.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, Sister Norma, we really appreciate your time and appreciate you being open and honest with us today. And hopefully, you guys can continue your mission safely, and you guys are safe and healthy as well.
Thank you.
Take care, ma'am. Take care. Okay, so we just finished up chatting with Sister Norma from Catholic Charities. Learned a lot. Let's walk this way a little bit so I can talk a little bit. Okay, so if you guys were listening, she was a little bit hard to hear, but I think you could hear it okay. So what I just learned is they do have COVID positive cases. These people, they can't make them stay in the facilities or in the hotels But then she's also saying these people aren't going out in the communities. But then I asked, how can you make sure that's not happening? And she confirmed it's kind of on an honor system for these people. And, the family that went to Whataburger didn't understand, right? They aren't necessarily English speaking. So it's really interesting here. A lot to unpack with that one. Do you have any comments on that? She said that they feel supported. They have the resources. She claims they aren't getting any government funding right now, but they understand there is government funding that's potentially available. And I asked her how they can be considered an NGO if they're getting government assistance. And that's something I think I have to ask the congressman about that. So that's interesting as well. But she said they're good.
I think you can get a certain amount of government. You're not
right,
a
like
government entity, but you can get funding from the government.
Right.
And still maintain an NGO status.
Right. So they can get like grants and help like that. Absolutely. But I still want to clarify. I still want to know what that funding looks like. But they've been helping migrants out for quite a while. Catholic Charities has. But she said they feel supported, and they said that the numbers are actually down at the respite. So I have to figure that one out too, because if the numbers are up across the border, where are they going? So I'm not sure, but she said they go over to Ansalduas Park, which is that international bridge park that we were at yesterday. They go out there to be processed.
And from all accounts, from several different sources, that park is wonderful for children. And they've got a park where the kids go out and swing.
Yeah, apparently it's a very family, they've set it up in a way for families, for sure. That's from officials, like sheriffs, border patrol, things like that. So, but yeah, so she was talking about that. She said she just wants people to understand that COVID cases, people aren't walking around spreading COVID. But then I asked her, you can't make people stay though. And she said, well, we can, help them. I mean, they can't strong arm a human being and say, you can't go. You can't, unless you can't force them in isolation into quarantine. They can walk on their own volition at any given time that they want. It's on a Scout's honor kind of thing. So, yeah, we just got that information confirmed. Very interesting. And that was a very interesting conversation, because I'm going to be very, very open about this. I had messaged her earlier this morning, about an hour ago, confirming our conversation, confirming we would meet outside. And then she walked by me like she didn't even know who I was. And then I said, we have a meeting. And she goes, oh, yeah, 15 minutes after our meeting was set. So that was a little interesting to me as well, because, again, I had just spoken to her. It wasn't like I talked to her 2 weeks ago and then showed up. And she is busy. She is very busy. The president of the NGO just drove by, said he needed help. I know she is busy, but I do want to be honest about everything that's happening. I did reach out to her earlier this morning. It wasn't.
And you've been in contact with her over course of several days.
Yes, actually. I have actually been speaking with her for days. So that was an interesting one where she kind of was very taken aback that I was here. So interesting for sure. We are going to head to Donna, Texas now, to check out what's going on at that facility over there. Yeah, ask your questions, my friends. Hopefully I can get some of these answered. I appreciate you guys watching and being part of this journey here. So yeah, we'll be checking in with you in just a little bit. Thanks, my friends. See ya. Okay, so we just made our way out from McAllen. We're now in Donna, Texas. It's about a 20-minute drive, probably 12 miles as the crow flies from McAllen. And this is the soft-sided facility, the Donna Detention Center, that processes migrants through Border Patrol. So this was opened in February of 2019 after they started seeing a steady increase of migrants coming in. That's according to Customs and Border Patrol. I shared the link above as well with some of the information. But so this facility reopened in February according to the research that I've been doing. So right now they've just closed that gate. That gate was open a little bit, so we can definitely see. I mean, let me flip this around for you guys. It's tent after tent. So obviously it's heavily guarded. We can see that there are, looks like big air conditioning units funneling into these tents. Let's see how much we can actually see without getting in trouble. Okay, so looks like we've got air conditioning units being filtered in through there. I can't see, there's some, mesh over that. You can't really see inside of anything, but you can see just how big those facilities, those tents are back here, housing migrants. So from my research and from that link I shared with you guys, it looked about 5,600 migrants were in this facility at a point when they first opened it up. So we've got a gentleman here. Let me see if I doubt he'll let me, but I've got to ask, right, if I can see anything. I don't know if people are coming out, or I don't think he's gonna. Okay, so we can't go in and record. It's prohibited. So they are not going to let us go in there and do anything. And I could definitely get arrested if I go and do any more than I already just did. So I was already kind of skirting the line a little bit there, my friends. Okay, so we are, again, if you're just joining us, we're outside the Donna, Texas soft-sided detention center here, a facility that at one point, according to Customs and Border Patrol, had 5,600 migrants being processed through Border Patrol. And these guys are going to come after me. So we'll see what happens. They might arrest me on camera. We will see. I don't know. Maybe I can beat them to my car. I don't know if they're going to be happy that I'm filming. I know. They're all coming for me. I know. Well, no, I'm not going to. It says recording is prohibited, so I don't know. But it doesn't, I don't know. So we'll see. Don't you hold that for me. I don't want to have a camera in their face. Flip it around, mother.
Are you live right now?
Yeah. So we just have to move to the other side of the road because this is federal property. So they were very kind. Yeah, we're going to go to the other side of the road. So we're going to move over there and continue this conversation. Wowzers. Thank goodness I didn't get arrested just then. Okay.
Well, sorry, there was a picture of me.
So they were fine-ish. Okay, there you go. That was a little bit scary. Okay, we're on federal property. We are, but right now I am parked on the road. So this is public, but I was over in the grass area and that is their federal property. So we are moving over to the other side of the road. Again, they were, fine with us being here, but they just didn't want me to be on federal land. So I'm turning around here and we're gonna kind of just reposition ourselves a little bit to continue the conversation about the Donna, Texas facility. But when we were driving out here, it was really interesting too, because we were trying to find this facility and it was pretty tough. We couldn't locate it through GPS. We actually ended up going to the police department here in Donna, and okay, you good? We got, okay. The seatbelt buckle was beeping. So we had a really hard time finding it, so we actually stopped at the Donna Police Department and they kind of gave us an indication of where it was, and we kind of drove until we came across it. So again, this is the Donna, Texas soft-sided detention facility that's open right now. So when I walked up there, which we're learning now was not great, but we did get to see a little bit more in there. So There look to be air conditioning units pumping, you know, into these tented, soft-sided areas. According to Customs and Border Patrol, at one point they had 5,600 migrants in here, being processed through Border Patrol. This is a very restricted area, and it is one of the, I mean, it's heavily guarded. It is federal property. It says outside of it, you know, recording is prohibited. So it is a very private area where they're doing this, and we don't have access to it, and we can't see inside these facilities. But from what we can see, there are several of these soft-sided tents. It looks to be about probably 4 just along the main drag here. So I can't see what's behind it. I don't have a drone. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna drive that way a little bit and actually see if we can see another vantage point, because I don't need to show you guys this. We can see this. So let's see if we can get kind of on the other side over here and see from this direction just how vast what we're actually looking at here. Okay, we can see a lot. It is very big. Wowzers. Okay, so we've got about 4 wide tents and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 deep. 6. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do I take this because of? Sorry, guys. I'm doing the math and counting things, and I'm, you know, it's not my strong suit. Okay. So there's 4 basically that way. Tents going that way, and there looks to be 6 deep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope. There's another one. 7 deep. So definitely a big facility here, my friends. Big facility here to process migrants through Border Patrol. So, okay. Wow. So the tents, I mean, it's hard to gauge because the tents going down are going, you know, horizontally. So I would say there's probably at least 15 tents over there. They're pretty large. Can you see how big that is? It's pretty huge. It doesn't look that massive from the road, but then when you come on the side, you can see how big it is. So again, they're processing migrants there, and they're also taking them to Anzalduas Park. Right. So they're doing, you know, they have to process. They've got a tall task because we know that the numbers are continuing to climb. So they've got to be processed at different facilities, and then Donna, Texas Detention Center is one of them. Again, it's pretty much off the map. It's easy to find if you know where you're going. So yeah, they've got an active facility here, and I can tell it's active because it's being guarded actively. So if there weren't people in there being processed, or people, you know, or anything to guard, then there wouldn't be guards out here. So we know that they are doing some of the processing here. Border Patrol has also confirmed that some of the migrants are taken here to be processed. Some of them are taken to Anzalduas Park, which that's that international park that we were at 2 days ago, right? Yeah, so we've been just about, or was that yesterday? That was yesterday. So yes, we are going out, we are digging in, we are trying to figure out all the answers for you, but we wanted to see the Donna, Texas Detention Center for ourselves, because that is the one that we've seen in the news. That is the one that, you know, the senators have come down and things like that. So we wanted to see it. We cannot access it. That is all federal land. You can't go on to federal land, obviously, unless you're escorted on and getting a tour, but it's pretty hard to come by those, it seems, at that facility. So we are flying out this afternoon. We're going to see what we come across over, you know, the next drive here, but we've got a lot to ingest and a lot to, you know, sort through after these 4 days, but wow. Yeah, we're going to get back on the road, and I'll be checking in with you guys in just a little bit.